Welcome to the Capital Light Assembly Podcast. My name is Brandon Bartnick, Vice President and General Manager here at Edison Manufacturing and Engineering. Edison, your contract manufacturing partner, focused on low-volume assembly and integration of complex mobility-related products that are not well-suited for highly automated production. I'm talking today about a specific situation, and that is how do you effectively, efficiently, reliably introduce and launch a new product in a new market. Maybe you're an existing company that has a wide range or maybe even a specialized product range. You're launching something different. How do you do this well? And geography might be a piece of this, but specifically looking at this through the lens of a new product type that you're launching. There's 5 tips that we have in mind here that I'll share. So starting at the top, start small. If you're launching a new product type is messy, especially within the mobility related space, it's very dynamic right now. There's a lot of different factors that are going to impact that launch. Don't bet the farm right out of the gate. Don't sink too much into capital. Don't go spend a ton of money setting up a highly automated production line that's capital intensive until you can prove that that product is going to sell at a price point that allows you to make money and that you actually want to be in that space and that that space will actually justify you being in that space. Be capital efficient, be flexible, be intelligent up front of how do you validate that market while you're also producing your initial units. And so building off of that, tip number 2 here is leverage manufacturing best practices to assure a high quality product, even up front, your PV builds, launch, and low volume production phases. So if you're going to effectively validate the market, can't overspend, but you also need a product that you can stand behind and that is reliable and it's going to get to market on the timeline and with a delivery and quality standard that is acceptable for you. And you do that from a manufacturing perspective by starting with best practices, right? So automotive industry is a decent place to look here, regardless of the type of product that you're launching, and there's similar practices in just about any industry, but start with effective quality planning, production planning up front, manufacturing engineering. The APQP, Advanced Product Quality Planning process, is a great place to start with your failure modes and effects analysis and control plan and defining a manufacturing process that makes sense and will result in a reliable, consistent product. But use best practices from a supply chain perspective, quality, the way you're managing your inventory and everything, the way you're managing your operations. Obviously, start with a trusted, reliable manufacturing process. But then to point number 3 here, intentionally determine what good enough is for this new market. So if you're launching in a market with a product type that's different than what you're usually building, that answer is going to be different than what you're used to. From a system process perspective, you're going to need to change. So figure out from a quality and a reliability perspective, what is good enough now? And if often what we're seeing is the case right now is that companies are coming down in complexity. So automotive, aerospace companies are launching products in adjacent markets that won't have the same level of quality and reliability expectations that their existing automotive products will be. So that you can't undershoot, of course. You need to figure out what good enough is for this market and deliver at or above that. But if you overshoot that, you're going to kill the product before it even has a chance because you're going to put way too much into process and quality and tooling that will make it nearly impossible for you to actually validate and prove that market at a price point that allows you to make a good business out of this. So you need to intentionally figure out where is the bar for good enough and design your manufacturing supply chain production systems with that in mind and then deliver on that. And that builds into the 4th point here. Your suppliers need to do the same thing. So use the right suppliers for the application. Just like I just said, if you have someone who's used to building at a certain quality level and you have a new product now that's being launched with a different set of boundary conditions and expectations from the customer base, you can't deliver what you're used to or else you're going to over-engineer it and overprice and have too much cost built into that. Maybe you can work with flexible suppliers who can scale up and down. It's much harder to do than it is to say that someone is flexible, because you need to have that built into your cost structure, your business practices, and your culture. Otherwise, you can't realistically scale up and down. And most companies that claim that they can't actually do it. So more often what you're seeing is you have to pick different suppliers for these different applications. So the person who's building your your windshield for your automotive application is not going to be the person who's building it for a micromobility application or an off-road application or a recreational vehicle. It's going to be too expensive. You need to find, for this new market, who are the people who have the right processes and cost structure so that they can deliver at the quality and cost expectations for this product. That requires likely growing your supply base beyond your existing suppliers, because you're going to have people who are going to likely be specialized for this new product type. So, and I'll revisit that point, but building on kind of the fifth point brings all this together of throughout this process, this can be a messy process. It likely will be a messy process, especially given, like I mentioned, the uncertainty of the product and the fact that you need to adjust so many different variables and right size so many different variables. You can only do this well if you maintain tight communication and collaboration between all key stakeholders. And you really can put them in three buckets for right now: of product development, the business side, which is the sales and everything else that goes into building a business out of this product, and the manufacturing team. Whether this is in-house, if those are separate entities, or whatever, this only works if there's tight communication and collaboration and partnership between each of those different functions. And flexibility is very important. So you need to be learning, collecting data, sharing that data with each other, and adjusting the process in real time so you can deliver what's required so that you can actually launch this product effectively. I don't know how this can work if those three functions exist in silos. You need to maintain tight communication and collaboration. So those are the 5 points. Start small, validate the market, intelligently leverage manufacturing best practices, determine what good enough is from a reliability and quality perspective for this new market, use the right suppliers for the application, and maintain tight communication and collaboration between the product development, business, and manufacturing functions of this operation. That's maybe easier said than done in a lot of situations, especially if you're an existing large company with a lot of inertia. It's hard to break out a mold. And even if you have people who are trying to break out, bringing on additional suppliers who are in different areas and are outside of existing networks, it's tough to do. Actually stepping back and understanding new boundary conditions and how that impacts the decisions and what makes you question the status quo of what has worked for the life of your company and what works for your other product group, like that's a difficult task. So we often get brought into this from a manufacturing perspective of often it's easier to and more effective, more reliable, more efficient to work with someone like Edison, who this is what we do, right? We right size manufacturing products, processes, and systems to deliver what is required for different application segments within the mobility space. So if you are an existing company, you have something that you're launching that doesn't fit within your existing supply chain and your existing product portfolio, yeah, definitely give us a call, and we'd be happy to chat about how we can play this manufacturing role to help bring that to the market. So as always, really appreciate it. Thanks for listening.